here we're going to set up a lab using different acidity water. So again, it's a mix of water and vinegar to look at what happens to organisms that create shells in the case of ocean acidification. This is another one of those issues that's prominent in climate change. It's one of the things that kind of happens along with a lot of these other changes. So this is my water cup, 1% vinegar, 10% vinegar, and 50% vinegar. This time I'm not having you guys calculate. So on the last one you had to calculate the percents, but you don't have to calculate. Each one of these shell groups I have pre-weighed. They're 23 grams. So what we're going to do is we're going to place them each in the cups and leave them for about a week, and we're going to see what happens. So what we would expect to happen is that these shells in the plain water should just get wet. So their mass should not really change when we mass them. Now in the other containers that have vinegar, they're going to be acidic, and so we might see some of those shells break down. Now depending on the kind of organism, the shells might be made out of different things. So there are some organisms that make shells out of like some specialized materials, but most shells are going to be made out of calcium carbonate. And what happens when calcium carbonate interacts with more acidic water is it breaks down. And so what we should see is over time these shells will start to dissolve. Now, even just initially, so the reason I wanted to do a 50% one is because you can start to see stuff happening right away. So in this one, you can see that there's little bubbles rising to the surface. That's the shells breaking down. So they're already starting to dissolve in there. Now, of course, the other ones, here's 10%. You can see some bubbles coming off, but not too many. And then the 1% and the pure water just look like shells in water. You can't really see anything happening. So after a week or so, we will take the shells out, we'll measure them, and we'll see if the mass changed significantly and what the mass changes that we see are. All right, that's it for this one.